Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. So if you've ever tried picking up a second language, you know exactly how incredibly frustrating that journey can be, right? Today we're unpacking a really fascinating new methodology from a launch script for a channel called Native English PK. You know the drill, you memorize endless vocabulary, you study dense textbooks, but then something just gets totally lost in translation when it's actually time to open your mouth and speak. Well, we're going to break down exactly how this highly targeted, super practical approach is designed to completely bypass those traditional roadblocks and just get straight to the results.
Okay, let's dive into this. The source material uses this exact question as its primary hook, and honestly, it's an incredibly smart way to start things off. It immediately hits on a massive psychological barrier for language learners, that frustrating gap between comprehension and production. Like, you might be perfectly fine reading an entire article in English or, watching a movie without subtitles, but the literal second you need to order a coffee or speak up in a work meeting, total panic sets in. You just freeze. By calling out this nervousness right out of the gate, the script isn't just pitching another boring academic course. It's offering a real psychological solution. It's basically telling the learner, hey, I know exactly how you feel, and we're going to fix the anxiety, not just drill more vocabulary into your head.
Which brings us to Section 1, the Everyday English Philosophy. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it shifts the focus entirely. The source script makes a pretty bold promise. You're going to learn real everyday English, the exact kind native speakers actually use. I mean, think about your traditional language classes for a second. They usually teach these super rigid, formal structures that, frankly, absolutely nobody uses in real life. You end up sounding like a walking textbook, which obviously just makes you even more anxious when you're trying to talk to an actual native speaker. But this method, it completely cuts the fluff. It pivots straight away from academic study and directly into practical, real-world usage. It's all about utility. It's about learning the living, breathing language that's actually going to get you through your day.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 4 learning pillars. Because look, a philosophy is really only as good as its execution, right? So the source material outlines this highly structured week-by-week curriculum built on 4 specific areas. First up, we've got the actionable focus. The deliverable here is clear, useful sentences that you can literally say today. This gives you an instant return on investment. You learn it, you use it right away, boom. Second are the building blocks. These are your important vocabulary words and phrases that give you versatility in a conversation. Third, and honestly this is absolutely crucial, is context. The script promises real conversations, stuff you'd actually say at a restaurant, at the office, or on the phone. Because let's face it, we don't use language in a vacuum. We need it for specific, everyday environments. And finally, we have delivery, which maps out simple pronunciation and accent training so you sound clear and natural. These 4 pillars are designed to work together perfectly. You get the words, you build the sentence, you apply it to a real-life situation, and you learn exactly how to make it sound incredibly natural. It's basically a complete conversational toolkit in one package.
Next up is Section 3, skipping the complicated rules. And this brilliantly illustrates a really cool concept. Sometimes what a curriculum intentionally leaves out is just as critical as what it actually includes. This is subtractive learning in action. On one side, the script actively eliminates all those complicated grammar rules and painfully long explanations, and on the flip side, it replaces them with practical English, spoken slowly and clearly so you can repeat, practice, and actually improve. And why is this so effective? Well, because heavy grammar explanations create massive cognitive friction. Think about it. When you're desperately trying to remember whether you should be using the present perfect continuous or the past perfect, you aren't even listening to the person standing in front of you. You're just doing mental math in your head. By stripping away all those long explanations, this method removes that friction entirely. It replaces overthinking with active repetition. It's prioritizing muscle memory over textbook memorization, which is a total game changer.
Now for Section 4, the path to confidence.
So what does this all mean? Where does the subtractive, practical approach actually lead you? So the crucial point is that all of these practical methods serve one singular defining goal. The script explicitly states the aim is to help you speak English with more confidence and a better accent. Notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't promise you'll ace a university entrance exam, and it certainly doesn't promise you'll be able to formally diagram a complex sentence. It promises confidence. Because at the end of the day, when you're actually standing right there in front of a native speaker at a coffee shop or maybe in a boardroom,
Confidence and clarity are literally the only metrics that actually matter. A better accent helps you be understood, sure, but it's the confidence that actually allows you to open your mouth and speak. That is the ultimate payoff here.
To kick off this transformation, the source material closes with a super clear, welcoming call to action. It breaks it down into 3 really simple steps. 1. Subscribe to Native English PK. 2. Hit the bell for notifications. And 3. Let's start learning together. And you know, that last phrase is really key. It positions the host not as some distant, stuffy lecturer, but as a real partner in your learning journey. It frames the whole channel as this supportive, ongoing community effort, rather than just a one-sided broadcast where they just talk at you.
As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with one final, thought-provoking question to chew on. By entirely eliminating complex grammar rules and focusing purely on practical, everyday conversation, could this subtractive learning method actually be the secret key to unlocking true speaking confidence? For so long, we've been conditioned to think that cramming more rules into our brains automatically makes us better speakers. But what if the exact opposite is true? What if stripping away all that intense academic pressure and just focusing on slow, clear, everyday repetition is exactly what we need to finally crush that speaking anxiety once and for all? It's a pretty fascinating challenge to how we traditionally view education, and it's definitely something worth thinking about for your own learning journey. Thanks so much for diving deep into this source material with me today, and keep learning.